Hi, in today's lesson you're going to learn all about participle clauses. Firstly, what is a participle clause? Well, a participle is a form of a verb. A participle clause is a subordinate clause that begins with a participle. So like adverbs, it's a way of linking two smaller clauses together in a complex sentence. They can give more information about a verb or idea in a sentence. They usually show things like event, order, time, cause or effect. So why do we use participle clauses? Well, because they help us to say more information in a more economical way and are often used to make a piece of writing more varied and sophisticated. So why do you need to know how to use them? Well, participle clauses are mainly used in written texts. So if you need to write English in exams such as IELTS or Cambridge FCE or Advanced, then this is one way to impress. There are three kinds of participle clauses: present, past and perfect. Firstly, let's look at the present participle clauses. The form is the verb plus ing, for example, going, reading, seeing, walking. For example, when you want to talk about an action that happened at the same time as another action, you could say, "We lay on the beach, gazing up at the night sky." This means we lay on the beach and gazed up at the night sky. Or to give the reason for an action or a cause. For example, knowing she loved reading, Richard bought her a book. This means because he knew she loved reading, Richard bought her a book. Let's look at another example. Feeling exhausted after the journey, I went to bed as soon as I got to the hotel. This means because I felt exhausted, and so on. Notice the participle clause is ing, and yet the meaning is in the past tense. The participle clause doesn't change its form, even though the meaning is in a different tense. Participle clauses can also be used to give the result of an action. For example, the bomb exploded, destroying the building. Or to add information about the subject of the main clause. For example, starting in the new year, the new policy bans cars in the city centre. Or we can use participle clauses adjectively. For example, look at the man sitting on the bus. This is look at the man who is sitting on the bus. Present participles have a similar meaning to active verbs. Now let's look at past participle clauses. The form is just the past participle, such as gone, read, seen and walked. So, like present participles, they can be used to give the reason for an action. As in this example, worried by the news, she called the hospital. Or to add information about the subject of the main clause. For example, although badly wounded, I managed to take cover behind a building, which means although I was badly wounded, I managed to take cover behind a building. Or to give a similar meaning to an if conditional sentence. Looked after carefully, these boots will last for many years. Which means if you look after these boots carefully, they will last for many years. Here, past participles normally have a passive meaning. Finally, let's look at perfect participle clauses. Firstly, the perfect participle in active sentences. The form is having plus the past participle. For example, having gone, having read, having seen, having walked. For example, to give a reason for an action, having lived in Oxford all my life, I couldn't imagine moving. Perfect participle clauses can be used to show event order. So instead of writing, we finished the shopping, then we went to a cafe, you could write, having finished the shopping, we went to a cafe. So as you can see, perfect participle clauses show that the action they describe was finished before the action in the main clause. And then the perfect participle in passive sentences. The form is having plus been plus past participle. So having been made redundant, she started looking for a new job. Or having been rescued, the injured man was taken to hospital. This means because the injured man was rescued, he was taken to hospital. Finally, let's look at some tips for participle clauses. Tip 1. We can use prepositions such as after, by, in, while, with, since, and many more with a present or perfect participle clause to make the meaning clearer. For example, after visiting or after having visited several shops, we return to the hotel. Here it is clear that we visited the shops first. Or, by not eating between meals, she managed to lose a lot of weight. When the participle clause describes a situation, a different subject can be used using with. For example, I was beginning to get a migraine with the students all talking at the same time. Or, with it being Sunday in Switzerland, we couldn't find any shops open. Tip 2. Generally, the subject of the participle clause is the same as that of the main clause. For example, waiting for Ellie, I made some tea, which means while I was waiting for Ellie, I made some tea. However, it is possible to have participle clauses with a different subject. For example, there being no money left, we had to start making our way home. This is a participle clause of cause. It means because there was no money left, we had to start making our way home. Or, it being too late to get a train, we took a taxi. Again, we have different subjects, it and we. This is again a participle clause of cause, as it means because it was too late, we took a taxi. Tip 3. Participle clauses do not have a specific tense. The tense is indicated by the verb in the main clause. For example, knowing I was going to an interview today, I wore a shirt and tie. Which means because I knew I was going to an interview today, I wore a shirt and tie. So even though we're using a present participle, the meaning is taken from the main clause. So here, wore. Okay, so now it's your turn. Complete the sentences with the same verb, once as a present participle and once as a past participle. 1. Blank, my love of chocolate, she hid it away in her drawer. Blank, by many people, the actor was always recognised in the street. So here it's knowing. Knowing my love of chocolate, the present participle, and in the second sentence, known. Known by many people, the past participle. 2. We took a shortcut, blank, an hour on our journey time. With the money, blank, from giving up smoking, I'm buying a bike. Here, saving the present participle in the first sentence and saved the past participle in the second. 3. Blank all things into account, I've decided to resign. blank 3 times a day. These tablets will help your allergy. Write your answers down below in the comment section, and I promise to give you feedback on what you have written. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you feel more confident about participle clauses. Remember to like this video if you found it useful, share it with your friends and colleagues learning English, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new English language videos. So that's it for today. Take care and see you very soon. Bye bye.